Welcome to Hot Topics in International Trade, brought to you by Braumiller Law Group and Braumiller Consulting Group.
Hi, this is Bob Brewer with Braumiller Law Group and Braumiller Consulting Group. Welcome to the podcast. With me once again, this young lady here, Kerry Wang with Braumiller Law Group, our
Hi,
senior
Bob.
associate attorney.
Hi, friends.
We basically everything that's been going on, to say the least, we're kind of knee deep in strategies for mitigation right now, to say the least. We have no lives anymore. We're doing our best to help everyone that has come to our doorstep. Kerry and I want to do just kind of a couple podcasts this morning. This is part A, part B, so you'll have to kind of tune into the next one, B. But this first one, it's got to be classification and country of origin, Kerry. We're running into a lot of snags here with people kind of trying to explain to them, why is tariff classification so important to duty mitigation is the question, and what are some common pitfalls that importers face when classifying products?
Thank you, Bob. So tariff classification is, from my perspective, the most important part. It drives everything. It determines the general duty rate. It answers the question whether your products are subject to trade remedies, right, such as Section 232, Section 301, anti-dumping duties or not. It also helps you determine whether they're eligible for free trade agreements. It answers a lot of things. So, just think about tariff classification as a zip code. When you buy a house, different zip code has a different price tag, right? It's the same for classification. So it's a starting point. Let's just say I want to give you a very recent example. Over the past weekend, actually, President Trump announced a series of exclusions for the recent IEEPA duties on many electronic goods. A lot of people call it Apple and NVIDIA exclusions because it covers a range of their imports.
A lot of pressure there to do so.
Yeah. So that's why it's, if you want to know whether your products are qualified for the exclusion, you need to understand your classification, right? You need to know whether your products are correctly classified first, and then you can see whether your products are qualified for exclusion. So that's why it's very important. For the common pitfalls, I think the most pitfall I saw when I practiced this year is they rely on their brokers, rely on their suppliers. A lot of times those provided codes are not correct. As importer record, we all know you're required to exercise reasonable care to provide the correct classification. I just want to tell you that relying on the codes provided by your supplier is definitely not sufficient to demonstrate you have exercised reasonable care.
Yeah, we run into that a lot of times. We find out before customs finds out that the classification code is incorrect. That's where we go into what you've heard us do podcasts on this before and write articles on before, is a prior disclosure. But that's safe harbor. So that's something that can be done for mitigation now. But what tools or methods can importers use to kind of reevaluate these, optimize their product classifications for duty savings with tools?
Great question, Bob. A lot of importers, when they talk about classification, they look at from a very micro level. They look at a single product, a single classification. I think what you should do is you should approach this from a data perspective. Look at your data comprehensively. Look from a holistic perspective, looking at what's the classification trends, what's the highest duty exposure, and see if there are any duty saving opportunities from a data perspective, right?
Okay.
You approach this from a data, looking at your ACE data.
Yes.
And then you can look at some opportunities such as exclusion we already talked about, and special provision, Chapter 98, right? That's a lot of special provision provided for duty saving opportunities depending on the usage and the condition of the merchandise. One of the recent example I dealt with is a sampling operation. So that is a Chapter 9802. Yeah, so that what's this special provision is they allow you to save duties on the U.S. components. So this provision is basically for all the U.S. Originating components sent to abroad for a sampling process. And when you send the finished goods back to the United States, you are only required to pay duties on the value added abroad. So you can deduct the U.S. origin components from the goods.
Okay.
So that's a special usage of that's a special provision where you can explore, right? Another thing is tariff engineering. A lot of people overlook at it, tariff engineering. So tariff engineer is a 100% legally recognizable duty saving strategy.
Mhm.
So what they're doing is basically you can change your design, manufacture your goods in a specific way to achieve a lower duty classifications, right? So that's that's a very interesting concept. Sometimes when you look at a design, if you have seen this design for a long time, and then sometimes you see, hey, all of a sudden the design of this good has changed. Maybe now you can ask yourself, maybe they're trying to do this to save duties. I can give you some examples. For vehicles for the for the vans that are used to transport people has a lower duty rate than the vans that are used for transportation for the goods transportation. So a lot of companies see opportunity. They insert some back seats in the van to achieve lower
Why
rate.
not?
Right? If you import an entire assembled pearl necklace, you have to pay duty on the necklace of finished goods. A lot of companies say, hey, maybe I would just unstring the pearls and import the pearls separately and, the component, and turned out that provides a lot of saving opportunities. Another thing I see people talk less is a set. So what is a set is when you classification a set of goods, you use the component of the set or part of the set that determines the essential character will be the most important part of the set. So that could be used as a tool if you use it wisely. Maybe you can think about if you can add a certain part or add a certain good into the part to impart the essential character of the set, and therefore somehow you can achieve a lower duty rate. There were a lot of things in tariff engineer you can look at, but it's require a lot of expertise. As you know, we have a consulting arm who is made up of various classification experts who has been in this space for decades. It's a very high expert. It's require a lot of expertise to do classification. So talk to an expert and see if there's some opportunity.
Yeah, what she's talking about is we have subject matter experts on the Braumiller Consulting Group side that we always partner with. We work as a team. But
Yes.
I'm going to get to this. So how does country of origin affect not just the duty rates, but also the eligibility, like free trade agreements, Section 301, AD/CVD exposure, all those kinds of things?
Yeah, definitely. So we talk about the classification. Classification is a starting point, but a country of origin is also important because when it goes into the States, they're looking about the classification, a country of origin, and valuation of the goods, right? So that's the three prongs when you look at a good and want to give them a correct duty. Like you want to figure out the right calculation of the duties. So you have to look at the three things at the same time. So country origin becomes even more important these days because we kind of talked about before, we're no longer in a trade liberalization, right? These days, so we see a lot of protectionism, a lot of a lot of decoupling from the countries you have been relying on traditionally. So as we all aware, we caught up in this sad U.S.-China trade war, unfortunately. So that said, is goods made in China, goods that has a country origin in China suddenly cost you significantly more, right? So that's why you really need to figure out what's the correct country of origin of your goods. And you need to see it from the correct lens. So what I'm saying here is country of origin can carry different meanings and different concepts. If you look through the lens of free trade agreements, the rules of origin apply, and also the specific rules of origin outlined in that specific free trade agreements apply, right? And when you look at the lens of trade remedies, Section 301s, IEPA duties, all the things, the substantial transformation test apply. What is substantial transformation? So if you're in the trade space, you probably are familiar with this concept.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it is not a black and white. There is no one answer fit all to what considered to be substantial transformation, but it's basically a very complex task. The CPP look at different standards. Only the third country that effect a substantial transformation can be considered as the country of origin of the goods, right? So that is trade remedies plans. And also labeling. Sometimes the labeling requirement follows different rules. Let's give you an example, USMCA, which is very bizarre when I first time saw this ruling. The goods from a USMCA region, from Canada or Mexico, maybe under trade remedy, under substantial transformation, is a country of origin China, so it's subject to 301 duties. And under USMCA, it's a considered originating goods, so it's a USMCA is exempt from the general duty. However, because USMCA have different labeling requirements, marking requirements. So actually under USMCA, marking it's actually goods of United States. So just telling you, you have to make sure you're looking at the right sets of rules here to determine the country origin.
Yeah. I was on a call yesterday, or was it the day before? I don't know. I've been on a lot of calls. It was, I just,
Yeah.
I think it was something like batteries, for instance. And I just want to get this into Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is customs considers the cell of the battery the core of this. There was no substantial transformation. We just had to tell them, sorry, but you're not moving the country of origin just by moving this to Vietnam to put it together. It's just not, it's not happening.
Exactly. So that's why I'll tell the analysis of substantial transformation is crucial in this process. When we talk about what do you describe as what we say our origin engineering?
Yes, go into that.
Yeah, structure your supply chain wisely. There are a lot of things you can do. As you said, you need to know what's the most critical component of your goods, right? Maybe you can explore the opportunity moving that part of the country.
Yeah.
Example, the bikes, the e-bikes or the hoverboards and scooters. All of those products, the CBP thinks the frame of the products imparts an essential character. So that's why a lot of those companies, they are moving a lot of the frame manufacturing process outside of China. That's a pass. Or you can, see if a lot of times the circuit board is the most important. They call it surf and mountain technology, where which is a final crucial step for to impart the functions to the circuit boards. You can see if that part of the process can be done outside of China, right? So those things you can plan strategically, but before doing that, you need to talk to the expert, right? And it's require lots of expertise. You want to do the research before you investing a lot of resource and start doing that, and it cannot happen overnight.
Well, Kerry, I like to keep these podcasts to about 15 minutes. We're almost out of time. If you don't know, maybe you didn't see the introductory podcast I did with Kerry, but she's licensed to practice in the law in China as well as the U.S. She was born and raised in China, so she knows what she's talking about.
Thank you, Bob. We all do.
I'll be out. I just like to single her out when it comes to China, though. Anyhow, this was part A, just so you know, and part B's coming up, but it's a separate podcast, so I'll have to go look for that one. And Kerry, I think on the second podcast in my notes here, we want to talk about valuation and recovery strategies, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So thanks for popping in on
Stay
this
tuned
one.
for part 2.
We'll go to part 2. Thanks.